bio bio. Edi kwansa bio bio. Edi kwansa bio bio. Izu kama na nejio biao biao. Edi kwansa bio bio. Edi kwansa bio bio. Edi kwansa bio bio. Izu kama na nejio biao biao.
Hello, welcome to the 5th season of 90 Minutes Africa. My name is Rodolphe Okonkwo. Right, we start this season with a special edition of 90 Minutes Africa. For the first time in the history of the show, we have a traditional ruler joining us as a guest, of course. And if we are going to have a royal father as a guest, it is proper that it has to be my hometown's traditional ruler, His Majesty Engineer Nick Modum Obi, Igwe Omenye Nnobi. Born in Nnobi on November 22nd, 1938, he started school at Christ the King School, Aba, before continuing at St. Mary's Secondary School, Nnobi. For his secondary school, he attended Bishop Shanahan College in Olu, and later at the Government Trade Center, GTC, Enugu. He worked at Opopo Boat Yards after secondary school, where he saved enough money to pursue his education abroad. He traveled to London in 1961 to study civil and gas engineering at Enfield College of Middlesex, London. As a student in London, he encountered some of the January 15, 1966 coup plotters on their return from India, where they planned the coup. During the Nigeria-Biafra War, he became an active student activist in London, leading Biafran activists at Hyde Park, London, to gather relief materials for Biafrans and to protest against Prime Minister Harold Wilson's backing of the Nigerian government during the war. After the war, he returned to Nigeria in 1992 as the first Nigeria-UK chartered gas engineer and took up leadership at Nigergas, Enugu. He later ventured into business and into politics during the NPN-NPP era of the 1980s. In the Fourth Republic, he served as special advisor on works to Governor Peter Obi of Anambra State. Eventually, he retired from partisan politics in 2007 upon his resumption as the traditional ruler of Nnobi, the Idemili South local government area of Anambra State. Join us today as we welcome on this special edition of 90 Minutes Africa, our special guest, His Royal Majesty, Igwe Omenye Nnobi, Engineer Nick Modum Obi. Igwe.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Yes.
It's an honor to have you today for me and for all our people who are watching at home. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You.
Let's start with the current situation in Nigeria. the political environment is heating up. I know you've been, before you became the king of Nnobi, you were part of the political setup in Nigeria from the 80s. So what do you make of the current political situation?
Thank you very much, Mr. Rudolph Okonkwo. I don't know, you should have been a chief.
It's in your hands.
I recognized you some time ago.
I know.
All you are doing for Nigeria, for Africa, for Nnobi in particular. Because as I used to tell people, they must try and put Nnobi on the map.
Thank you.
And there's no other way to put Nnobi on the map except the way you're doing it. Let me just correct one or two points in your introductory. One, I came back to Nigeria in 1972, not 1992. I've been in Nigeria for 50-something years, 53 years.
It must be an error. It says 72.
Yes.
Yes.
Two, I was special advisor to Governor Peter Obi, political.
Okay.
From political, I moved to works. From works, I moved to utility.
Okay.
Yeah. I retired from utility to become the Igwe Nnobi. Yes. If you could repeat your question, because
the question is about the political environment today in Nigeria. How do you assess it? Being that you've been there from the 80s, understanding or participating in politics.
Yes. I participated in politics in the 80s. We're one of the people that followed the Ikemba Nnobi. If Emeka Odumegwu
Ikemba
Nnewi, sorry, not Ikemba Nnobi. Odumegwu. And then, because we were in London, we were following him. So when he came back from Ivory Coast, we joined him in NPN. When you ask about politics in Nigeria, unfortunately, the politics in Nigeria, I should say, is rather less. It's rather less because it has no ideology. I mean, you are in US, you have the Republicans and the Democrats. Possibly they have their own ideologies. In UK here, you have Conservative and you have Labour. Mind you, anybody who knows what is going on knows that it is not just the politicians that guide the policies. It is the public servants or the civil servants who are behind. They say what will happen in a country and they plan it and then allow it for. And anybody who comes there just have to follow. I listened to Obama the other day. He said that some of the things, sometimes they just bring a paper and say he must sign. That probably he doesn't even know what is in the paper, but he has to sign, So, and that is over there where things are arranged. If you have a policy, then you must keep it for 4 years, 10 years, 20 years. We have no plan in Nigeria, that will take us. Any government that comes in will change what the last government planned. So, and that doesn't make for continuity, unfortunately.
Now, being that you have seen this political process change over time from the 70s to the 80s and 90s, and now, what do you think is responsible for that lack of ideology in our politics?
Well, the difficult question, but what I think is that, we got our independence, if I should say, on a platter of gold. Although I'm one of the people who still think that we haven't got independence, we just have paper independence, because behind the scene, we're still being controlled by either our colonial masters or the people who supported them or their allies. I remember during the election between Buhari and Goodluck Jonathan, the Secretary of State of United States had to come to Nigeria, a few days to the election, so on and so forth. And you still know that there were people, whoever is going to run for election will come to Chatham House in London, and then they'll interview him, and we don't know what they tell them behind the scene. So I'm one of the people who I'm not so happy that our independence is just on paper.
Okay, so let's look at what's going on now. So we have this structure. I don't know when it was put in place. This rotational presidency that is not on paper, it's not constitutional, but somehow politicians, they abide by that. But now we have a situation where these opposition parties, you've been in opposition before, opposition parties are blaming the party in power, which is the APC, that they are trying to stop them from functioning as opposition party. Do you think is fair criticism of APC?
Well, I don't know. As a traditional ruler, we are bipartisan. That question is actually for the politicians to answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking that with your insight in the past in politics.
Yeah. If I may just say, well, what are we practicing in Nigeria? Is it liberal democracy? Is it? I think what we're practicing, I don't know the type of policy we're pursuing, is winner take all type of politics. And if you practice winner take all, of course, once you get in there, you may not allow any other person to come in.
All right. Let's go to traditional rulers and the role they play. Recently, we had this conflict between the Ooni of Ife and the Alaafin of Oyo. And when I was in Nigeria in June, I went to Kano. I went to during Salah, and I saw what happened there, where the emir, there are two emirs competing. They have Sanusi. I went to the Sanusi one event, which is the main one. So this idea that the elected officials are now in charge of the traditional, what happens to the traditional thrones that we have in Nigeria. What is your feeling about that? It wasn't like this before the Europeans came.
Well, before the Europeans came, probably we didn't have traditional rulers per se. You mentioned Ooni of Ife and then the Alaafin of Oyo. Well, their own is even, you see, it's interstate. You have Osun, you have Oyo. They're lucky that they can even be recognized. In the Southeast, it's not that easy. If you are a traditional ruler, you're a traditional ruler within your domain. Although we tried in Idemili, North and South, to come together to confer chieftaincy on somebody. It's not easy for a traditional ruler, an emir or Oba, to confer chieftaincy title to somebody outside his domain. For instance, in Anambra State, for you to confer chieftaincy title to somebody who is not from your community, you have to write to the traditional ruler of that community that you are conferring chieftaincy title to Mr. A or Chief A from his community. for his information and courtesy demands that. It's part of our code of conduct.
Yeah, but in some places, like if you talk about the Oni of Ife or the Laughing of Oyo, they've been there before the Europeans came, and it was after the coming of the Europeans and the handing over to Nigerian civilian administrations that they took the power away from them. In the South, it's a little bit different. But I wanted to know that, what do you prefer? Do you prefer? I know that there was an interview you granted the Sun newspaper in I think 2019, where you were talking about, you expressed your frustration with lack of constitutional role for traditional rulers in Nigeria. What kind of change do you want to see?
Well, let's go back to, you said the New of Ife and then the Laughing of Oyo. Don't forget that maybe in the last century they were fighting wars between themselves. So whether that war has ended, it maybe has ended practically, but probably still simmering. So yes, role for the traditional rulers is very, very important. You cannot have somebody, some of the traditional rulers, if you take, you mentioned the Emir of Kano. Yeah, somebody who rose to become the governor of Central Bank. He was the managing director of First Bank and all that. Or if you come down to the, he used to Obia Furniture, the director of Shell International, and then so among the traditional rulers, you have a lot of people who are qualified, who can hold their own. For instance, without blowing my own trumpet, I'm the first Nigerian chartered gas engineer from UK. And what it means is that I have intellectual property to protect, or even to share, or even to contribute on something tangible. So it's very important that the traditional rulers should have a role to play, because we are very close to the people. We are close to the community. Yeah, if let me give an example at Nnobi. Every day or every evening, somebody will come. Oh, I have my mother is in hospital, this and that. Then they will show you open wound of surgery, and then somebody has to go to school, either university or somewhere, and then you are close to them. And then the issue of security. The traditional rulers are very close to the people. And when it comes to security, I remember the last regime in Obiano, they say if there's any kidnapping or armed robbery, they will hold the traditional ruler responsible. If you remember what they said, that taxation without responsibility is a problem. And that's exactly what that was. Thank you.
Yeah, in that interview, you said that when government systems fail, that ordinary people, first contact is the traditional ruler. They depend on the traditional, like you mentioned now.
Yes.
But what tools do you want to be given? What kind of system do you want to see? For instance, in the UK, and I think we copy the UK example, where you have the royal family, King Charles. They don't have direct role in terms of governing the country. It's ceremonial. But what do you want to see change in a structure like Nigeria, where you are playing the role of the traditional ruler, but you don't have security, you don't have power of the force.
We don't have the fund.
Yeah. What do you want to see changed?
Well, like, for instance, what happens in Nigeria, if you call the police or the DPO. The DPO will say, oh, where's the vigilante? Because the vigilante, the DPO may come from Maiduguri or from anywhere. He doesn't know the people. He doesn't know the system. So what we will, if you empower the traditional rulers, the traditional rulers will know his people, knows the community. It will be easier. You know, you mentioned we're not talking about state police. Yeah, I mean Nigeria is a funny place where you have federal police. Then from federal police, nothing else. Anywhere in the country, if I take, for instance, in UK or even US, in UK you have the metropolitan. Almost every local government or county has a police, has its own police. You know, so I'm not surprised that things is unimaginable that things don't work. Where anything you want to do, you have to get to Abuja. If you want to put a petrol station in Nnobi, you will write to the Department of Petroleum Resources in Abuja that you want to put a petrol station in Nnobi, and so on and so forth.
I like that you brought up vigilante, and I know that there is one in Nnobi, and the state governments, they also have vigilante, and the president Tinubu just talked about making sure that he is going to make sure that there is state police before he leaves. So that structure, how is it working at this point? How is the local vigilante in Nnobi? How are they working with the federal police and with the state vigilante, which is I forgot the name they call them. Udogadi.
Yeah.
Yeah. How is that relationship going? Because it will help us understand what will happen when there is state police.
Well, at the moment you have, as you said, Udogachi, and you have the federal police, that is the commissioner of police. And then you have the DPOs who are on ground. What happens at the moment is that if the vigilante, the ideal thing is that if the vigilante arrests somebody, they should report to the Nigerian police through the DPO, and the DPO will now report to his CP, depending on the type of matter. So we think if because they're also talking about community policing apart from state police. State police. That is the government, the state in Nigeria, the states in Nigeria having their own police. They also want community policing. So you have community policing, you have vigilante, then you have at the state level, introduced by Governor Soludo, the Dogachi, and and all these people should work in tandem. They should work closely with the federal police. The main problem is that just like at the community level, the traditional ruler used to be the chief security officer, but now it's been changed. It's now the patron. The traditional ruler is the patron. But the governors have been complaining. Oh, you call us chief security officers, but the commissioner of police is answerable to somebody in Abuja. So why there is if the relationship between the commissioner of police and the governor is not excellent, then he may or may not take any order from the governor. But you know, the irony is that also the governor also makes subventions to the federal police, both in fund, in cash and kind, in vehicles, in things, you know.
Okay. I want to find out who pays the Nnobi vigilante. Is it the state government or people of Nnobi?
Well, all of the above, as they used to say.
So there's contribution from the state government.
Well, yes, yes. Yeah, let me say all of the above. Let me stop there because you see, the state government encourages the people to ensure that the security is everybody's business. And this is what we've been trying to do in Nnobi. You know, we ask people to donate money for security. They donate vehicles, they donate gadgets and things like that. Yeah. And while the state government takes care probably of the basic remuneration, you know, but the state government also encourages the communities to partner with them, make sure that the communities are safe.
Now you run something that is a kind of thinking philosophy where you say think home, and
Yeah.
it's something that the people of the governor of Anambra says also encouraging. That is encouraging successful people to think of investing or working with the government to invest in projects at home to help people in their communities. And I see Governor Charles Oludo come out and say to people, if you think you're successful, how many roads, how many miles of roads have you built, and things like that. And I know that in Nnobi also people are doing things like that. How is that working? Is that changing any kind of balance of power? And because when you have people doing these projects, well, how does that people embrace that? How is that working out?
Well, it's working out very successfully because, you know, the functions of the traditional ruler, one of the functions, that we have about 16 functions as stipulated by the government in the traditional rulers law, is that we should try and develop our community. Then think home. You see, think home is not just getting people to do roads or light. We should also ask them to invest in their communities by bringing industries so that, you know, the younger people are outside the southeast. They live in Lagos, in Abuja, in New Jersey, in New York, in Maryland, in everywhere. We want some people to come back home, invest there, so that the youths can get something doing and move away from the present problem they're having. Because they say an idle man is the devil's workshop.
Okay. You mentioned the Obi of Onitsha, and I could see that in most of the Southeast, we now have accomplished men like you, professionals who retired from either civil service or private practice, taking up traditional roles in communities. How has that changed the way traditional societies work? When you have people like you lived abroad who went to school abroad, come back home, take up this role. It's no longer the way we used to be in the 60s or 50s, where it's hereditary, and sometimes you find people who are not very exposed about how the world works. What changed?
Well, that's a good question. You know, what changed is that, first of all, in our meeting of the Traditional Rulers Council of Anambra State, the deliberation is a little bit higher. You know, if you compare with if people were not didn't have the expertise. Yeah, in Anambra State, you have retired real professors. I don't mean the INEC professors. You have retired professors who are in the State Traditional Rulers Council. You have people like Obi of Onitsha, who is the renowned international, and many others. So it has changed a lot of things. It also, let me also start with something that I may call mundane. That is our way of dressing. You know, how we dress simple dress. You know, and then it trickles down. It trickles down to the people. Because what you are telling them is that, look, there's a better way of doing things. We have to bring development. We have to bring things, you know, to the community. So, you know, so we can now talk about planning, about what do we put in our place. Thank you.
All right, we are going to take a break at this point. When we come back, we want to hear from Igwe what he can tell us about P2B, who he worked for during the time he was governor of Anambra State. We also talk about when he was a student in London, what he did during the Biafran War. We will take a break and we'll be right back.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We are having a wonderful conversation with Igwe Nnobi, Igwe Engineer Nick Obi. Igwe, welcome back.
Thank you.
A lot of people watching now, they want to know, there's someone who is like an enigma in Nigerian political scene today, which is Mr. P2B. Now, you know him, you work with him. Maybe you can give us something. Is there something we don't know about him based on what you see, as a person that we don't know, Nigerians who are watching him in the political arena today?
Yeah, you use the word enigma. There was a journalist that called him anthropological oddity. He's an enigma. Well, I was his first advisor of political. And at that time, to tell you the truth, Governor Peter didn't like being called a politician. And that's part of the enigma in him. But something happened, and then I advised him, say, oh, I don't want to play politics. So I asked him, why do you then appoint me as a political advisor if you are not interested in politics? So I don't know. I don't know how we started the APGA. The APGA in 2001. Tekwaso Korea was the first chairman, and then from there, myself, Victor Ume, I was the vice chairman central under Mbadinuju. But Mbadinuju's government wasn't going anywhere, so we said, oh, we have to look for another vehicle, and that's where P2B came in. He said he's a trader. He calls himself a trader. Really, he behaves like one. And a trader counts his chickens and his changes, and that's him. That's him.
Is being a trader, is that a good thing or a bad thing in Nigerian political environment?
Well, being an Igbo, being a trader is a good thing, because that's what 90% of the Igbos do. The only thing, some traders, I started a company with some people who are traders. If you are telling them about investment or doing feasibility studies and things like that, no, they don't understand. They say, we want what is what the Americans call the bottom line. That's all they want to see, So, let me.
Some people have compared P2B to Zik. How do you see the differences in their approach to politics?
Well, as I don't know if I was a teenager. I was even about 10 years old or so. I admired Zik of Africa, the long grammar and all the rest of them, and Zik was a pioneer. We cannot call it to be a pioneer. And then Zik, during his time, they were fighting about the independence of Nigeria. I just watched the clip you showed a few minutes ago, where Governor Soludo was saying, well, in Nigeria, our politics can as well. Zik said something similar to that in 1979. That only in Nigeria that you bring out Zik to vie with our own names. You know? So it's interesting. Interesting.
Now, for those who don't know the video you are referring to, because we were not live when I played that video, we play a little bit of that. It's actually in Igbo, but we will play a little bit of that and then we'll come back.
Land grabbing in a memory van. I don't know, I can buy on your bus, it's all organic. You know, if you may love it, you know. I'm game, maybe. I can see without one goes into appointment here without one goes in. You without one goes English F9, mathematics F9, economics F9. So, in English F9, how come we are going? And you go. In mathematics F9, you have a compare Anambra. I have a compare. As an organ economy Anambra, but in F9 economics. Basic economics, demand and supply. Go with F9. And I call no wonder businesses in our Obido na Anambra, but they that Obido go business in no man that also land grabbing. Fantastic, because I'm F9 economics, maths F9, English F9, economics F9, F9. So no wonder even you know Balaka or that. Narapanifa. Our election card in Anambra civil service, Onya had qualified to be recruited as a driver. You were F9, okay, EJ school line, better school is home out because even now quick. Governor. Nah, I will never pay you a video himself. Can you buy a column? I can't be gone. Anyway, I'll look at democracy. Democracy on your Jagolo ticket party. Ijagolo ticket party, Anambra, governor. One no governor. You could see the governor.
All right, so for those who do not understand Igbo, that's the governor of Anambra State talking about his opponent in the November election, putting him down essentially, that he didn't do well in school, how could he be the governor of... Igwe, when you listen to this, as a traditional ruler, somebody representing traditional institution, is this the way we want our leaders to sound and talk about politics?
You know, during the election, I mean, His Excellency or Mr. Governor says it's election time. So during the election, they are marketing. They are not trading, they are marketing. So anyway, he can market his wares. It's okay for him.
Okay, so this is something that most people have been trying to understand. Traditionally, Igbo people are regarded as Republican in nature. How does the institution of the monarchy, how is it being accepted after some years now of it being brought into most parts of Igbo land?
Well, yes, Igbos are Republicans, but we're also communal. Should I use the word communalism? That is, we're communal people, even before the introduction of kingship. We do things communally. I mean, when I was younger, I know that if you are a young man and you haven't built your own house, your people will come together of your age, and build a house for you and do this. the roof, maybe thatched roof or whatever. So yes, we're Republicans, but okay, we're communalists. And then we also, I remember we built the first, in the 50s, in Nnobi, we built the water pipe system. We built the colleges in Nnobi, both Nnobi High School, where you attended, and then the Our Ladies School, and some primary schools. So even though we are Republicans, but we work together. And we say Onyaga na 1 year, that is, you must carry your brother or sister along. I know it's a problem because, you know, we did a seminar in the Anambra State Traditional Rulers Council on Igbo Wednesday. We did a seminar. So people try to interpret it in two different ways. Because Igbo Wednesday doesn't mean that we have no respect for our kings or traditional rulers. Or does it mean that, yes, we are Republicans, but we can still come together and do things for ourselves?
Okay. Before we are going to let people in very soon to join us in the conversation. But before we do that, I want you to give us a little insight, because there's this book. I actually thought it was online, but it's not online yet. I spoke to the writer. This is your biography.
Okay.
Written by Chidozie Okibo.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not yet online, but I spoke to him a few minutes ago, and he said there's plan to have it online so that people can buy it on Amazon.
Okay.
So part of the stories in this is how you the role you played as student activist in London. Can you please tell us a little bit about how you see today's young people, how they react to social and political issues when you compare that to your era when you were in London during Biafran War?
Well, thank you. My own era, it was before the Biafran War. As a student, when you travel to UK or US, you get there primarily as a student. And I was one of the people who went to UK in 1961, and I was called a recognized scholar. That is, that the government knows that I'm going to UK to study. And over there, we had the Students' Union, which was very active. And then to belong to the Students' Union, you cannot belong to any political party. At the time, it was both NCNC and AG that were in vogue. I remember I was the vice president in 1964 of Nigeria Union of Great Britain and Ireland. We were having a meeting, and then what's his name? The man who was taking the man who was put in a cage to be sent to Nigeria.
Oh, Umaru Diko.
Umaru Diko came to our office and said, "What are you people doing here?" I said, "This is Nigeria Union of Great Britain and Ireland." He said, "We don't believe in this. We have a Northern Students Association." That was as far back as 1964 or 1965. So we were very active. We are not allowed to belong to any political party. If you belong to a political party, you cannot hold office in Nigeria Union. And then we also, that was during the Cold War. Mostly we tried to align ourselves with the Soviet Union, not with UK or US. You know, most of us were more attached to UK. It's only late 60s that many people start going to US. So because these were our colonial masters, and we are not so comfortable with them. Some people still blame them for where we are today. Whether it's right or wrong, I'm not quite sure, really. You know, I saw Professor Wole Soyinka, the Nobel laureate, the other day, criticizing Putin. That is this, is that, is that. You know, but that the Soviet Union, Russia of today is not the same as Soviet Union of yesterday. But we believed in Soviet Union at the time, even though some of us are not socialists as such. Some of us are capitalists. So it's interesting to know that Wole Soyinka is anti-Putin. I don't know what is much different between Putin and Trump and even the one that is here, you know, because what is their policy towards Africa? What is their policy towards the black man? This is what really should guide my thinking. Because if you say somebody is not, I also saw the other day somebody was talking about democracy, said there's no democracy anywhere in the world. Because when you bring out Trump and Biden, what are you comparing? You know, so you know, in democracy, one of the problems you have is how does the leader to be elected? How does it emerge? Because it's a process. If I may quote Peter B, says the process is what matters more than the results. So if the process of bringing somebody is not proper, and then you bring two persons, you are talking about the devil and the blue sea. You must cast your vote for either the devil or the blue sea. Whichever one you do, you think.
You mentioned Soyinka, and I remember that he was the one that called his generation wasted generation.
Yes.
So when you say that if we are not going to blame the colonial powers, who you agree they've not left entirely, they are still operating things in African countries. Who should be blamed? Is it the generation that Soyinka called the wasted generation, or the younger ones? Where do we start to reform things? Who should be held accountable for the failures of Africa?
Well, that's where I agree with Wole Soyinka. I'm part of the wasted generation, really, going by age. I'm part of it. But we struggled. This is where I said that we were anti-West. We were anti-West because I remember that Balewa came he was on his way to United Nations and passed through London. We carried placards to demonstrate against him. And Nigeria still retained the same type of foreign policy which Prime Minister Balewa had in the 60s. And I don't think we're going somewhere. Really. So who do we blame? Partly we blame ourselves, you know. But I was in politics. I cannot describe myself as a politician. I know journalists ask me, are you a politician? I say, no, I'm a professional in politics. Because most politicians in Nigeria are not professionals in other business. You know, you have to be sycophant, you have to lick somebody's boot, but some of us, if we have a fallback situation, if I fail in the election, I go back to my engineering, even though it will suffer by the time I come back, you know. So we have to blame ourselves, but how do people react? If I take myself for example, I came to Nnobi to be, I'm the Igbo. I say I have my mantra. My mantra is the transparency, due process, rule of law. Transparency, due process, rule of law. And people find it difficult to understand, even to follow rule of law, not to talk of transparency and due process.
Okay. We'll let people in, but just one question from me, one more. I know you're a practicing Catholic, and I think about this some of these days in terms of, we talk about colonial role in what's happening in Africa. We also talk about what they brought. One of them is Christianity. So, as a traditional ruler, how do you juggle that role and that of Christianity that I know you are practicing Catholic? How do you juggle the two? And do you see any conflicts?
Yes, that's a good question. There is no conflict, really, as far as I'm concerned, because it depends on the way you want to practice either your Christianity or your ordinary. I went to pilgrimage to Jerusalem, and then I saw that some of the things they are doing are the things that our forefathers were doing in Jerusalem. So, as the traditional ruler of the community, I'm the traditional ruler, I'm the ruler of the Christians, the non-Christians, and everybody. You know, you talked about Idemili earlier on. Somebody says that he's the more Idemili. Yes, but I'm the Eze Idemili. You know, you cannot have two Ezes in the community. There must be. So, in that case, you know, I have to put my hat as the traditional ruler. And the government gave me a certificate saying you are the traditional ruler and custodian of tradition, culture, and customs. And that embodies everything: tradition, culture, and customs. So I don't see, there's not much to say that is against being a traditional ruler if you are a Christian. You know, probably you can draw a line and say, okay, as a Christian, this is what I accept. But that is as a traditional ruler and a Christian. You know, maybe as a Christian, you not do a kite. You encourage people to work hard to earn their living.
Now you mentioned there is kings and things like it. Reminded me of what's going on in some parts of the world, including Ghana recently, where Igbo people outside of Igbo land, I don't know how they come about it, but they become Eze of the Igbo community there. And it's a problem. And recently, the traditional rulers in the Southeast had a meeting, I believe, and issued a statement. Were you part of that discussion? And what do you feel about somebody in New York or in London saying I'm the Eze Igbo, the king of Igbo people in London or Malaysia?
Yes, it's not recently. In fact, it's been there for over 10 years. We've been telling people don't go outside Igbo land and claim to be Eze. You can answer Onyendu, you know, so as not to create the present problem we're having everywhere. You cannot have two Ezes Somebody says is Eze Nnobi Zuluku of Idemili. We wrote to him and said, look, you cannot claim to be Eze Nnobi Zuluku when there is already an Eze. That word, Eze, Obi, Igwe, is in the legal this thing of the traditional rulers law that you cannot answer it of your community unless you are the traditional ruler. No, so we condemn anybody going outside Igbo land, whether in Kate or Surulere, answering Eze Igbo. You can answer Onyendu the Igbo in that area, just as they call Namdekano Onyendu. You know, to avoid the problem. Although I think probably the Ghana people are going too far with what they're doing. That is my own personal view, really.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's get our people involved in this conversation. Mr. James, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
So you are we have our guest, the king, the Eze Nnobi, Igwe Modun Nikobi, engineer. So do you have a question or comment for him?
Yes. Please, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Good.
I can hear you.
Thank you very much for coming, sir. Long may you live, and may your reign be peaceful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Unfortunately, I will not be able to ask you a question. Let me ask you questions for traditional reasons. I was brought up in Benin City, and we are not of the habit of asking our king questions. We draw their attention to issues. So that's the strategy I want to use. I will express my opinion, then you let me know what you think about it. I cannot ask you questions as a traditional ruler, if you don't mind, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, sir. You said something about community effort. We don't know what the government of Nigeria is doing for the people of the country. If I need water, I drill a borehole in my compound. If I need road, we resort to community effort. If I need schools, I send my children to private schools. If I'm sick, I go to private hospitals. If I need justice, I go and buy a lawyer. You know, there's nothing government is doing for anybody because we gave them the chance by adopting these shortcut methods to avoid or to encourage government irresponsibility. There's something I want to know. The traditional institutions in Africa, they disappointed the people catastrophically. For 400 years, they sold Africans into slavery. The white man was able to build America and other countries from the sweat of the black man. I do not know what African kings did with the profit they got from slave trade for 400 years. They have nothing to show for it. I do not know the reason why. Then the issue of state police. That's the last, I think. The issue of state police. I don't support state police for one reason. In Benin City, where I was brought up, we had an armed robber called Lawrence Anini. While he was operating, it is an indigene of that state, serving in the state, George Yamu, who was conniving with him. So if we should form a state police, we have, let's say, Bender State Police Force, there is no guarantee that members of the state police force will not perpetuate crime. In fact, it will be more serious because they know the state better than any other person. So they know how to perpetrate their nefarious activities. And lastly, somebody should remind Professor Soludo, you don't need a university degree to be a good administrator. Thank you very much, sir. Long may you live.
Thank you.
Reign be peaceful.
Thank you.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, Mr. James. Go ahead, Igwe.
Yes. Mr. James, you are protesting, and the best way to protest is to get involved. Get involved in the politics. If you say you won't get involved, you won't vote, you won't do this, things will keep on getting worse than they are now. Some of us, Shoyinka said we're a wasted generation. Some of us felt that we should get involved to see if we can change things. And then probably we didn't achieve what we should, but at least we made some mark. On the state police, they're just using Nnobi as an example. Probably, if more people, more than the other guy you mentioned in Benin City, were involved in looking for Nnobi, maybe they would have succeeded earlier. Because the problem is that if you have a federal police, most of the people there are, I won't say foreigners, they are non-indigens. In Igbo, we say that the man in the house knows the chicken that has bad leg. So I think if the practice all over the world is that you have the police. I use an example that if you want to build a petrol station, let's say in Benin, you have to go to Abuja to get the authorization to do it. No, nothing works. That is the over-governance, as far as I'm concerned. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. James. Let's go to, I think Ovie is next. Ovie, welcome to the show.
Yeah, Your Majesty, may your days be long.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Unlike Mr. James, I'm also from the Benin Kingdom, but I'm a member of one of the royal home called Orifa family. So I'm in a position to ask questions. I have that privilege as a member of the royal family. Yes, you are responding to Dr. Damage's question. You made mention of your active days as a student in Europe.
Yes.
Leading to the Civil War, the years to Civil War. So as a very active student who, as you said, you are anti-West, what role did you see the West, especially the United States and the British, play that contributed greatly to the Civil War, and what happened subsequent after then, that those people back home are not privileged or are not in position to actually see, just like it's happening today?
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, I mentioned it earlier. Some of us, why we are anti-Europe or anti-US, is that because we know the role they played before and after the Civil War. Being that I was active, and then being the president of the Nigerian Union of Great Britain and Ireland. And then fortunately for me, my wife, who had just passed on a couple of years ago, was the secretary with the Labour Party. So in 1965, she showed me a document by the Labour Party under Harold Wilson, that if there's any problem in Nigeria, between Nigeria and Biafra, that they will back Nigeria. And that's so I had that privilege of knowing that. And then I know that if you also use the US as an example, in US, between Richard Nixon and Robert Kennedy was for Biafra, Richard Nixon was for Nigeria. So when Robert Kennedy, so Biafra became an issue in 1968 election in US. So when Robert Kennedy was assassinated, was killed, then Nixon didn't talk much about Biafra, but he alluded to Biafra. But when Lyndon Johnson came in, the thing was shut completely. The people who supported Biafra in US were mostly religious, particularly the Catholics. Because the Kennedy, from their father, Joseph Kennedy, to their sons, John, Robert, and others, were all Catholics. So they supported even the Archbishop at the time, or Cardinal, not Archbishop. So the same thing happened in UK. The Biafran issue was a funny situation because even in UK, while the Commonwealth Office was anti-Biafra, the Foreign Office was for Biafra. And in 1967, I was in Moscow on my way to Ulaanbaatar, which they call Outer Mongolia. Mongolia is divided into two. One part is with China, the other part is with Russia. So the Russians were, at the time they said it's an Israeli war. That's where the Biafran got into trouble with the Russians and later the Egyptians who sent their pilots. Because, almost all the pilots before the war were Igbos. So when they left Nigeria Air Force, the Russians had to ask the Egyptians to come in. That's how so you can see why some of us are anti-Europe or anti-US. Not just because of Biafra, but because of other things. If I may mention, you had Black Power movement in the 60s. Yeah, they are noted for wearing black gloves, their right hand. So we support them because they are blacks. We want blacks to be free. But they didn't support Biafra because they think that we're trying to divide the black people.
All right. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. Thanks.
All right. Let's go to Man of Prestige, who is answering comparable facts. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, greeting, Dr. Rudolph. Dalo na our excellency, the highness, Engineer Igbo. It's nice to have you on this platform. It's very honorable to have you, having a distinguished scholar, in my own opinion, coming to give us some information. So I'm going to ask you a question, sir, if you don't mind, in reference to the Igbo nation, where we are right now. In my own opinion, we used to, the ordinary Igbos used to live what we call the Nigerian dream before the Biafran War. And, we are a dominant force when it comes to Nigerian politics before, but the way we are right now, where do you see us going from now? Because I feel like, we have been marginalized politically, we have been disregarded. So where do you see us getting out of this, conundrum where we are right now? It seems like we are not being regarded in Nigeria. We just have the few, maybe the politicians, living the Nigerian dream. But the ordinary Igbos like me, we are not living the so-called like Nigerian dream. We are being excluded from Nigerian all aspects. Can you comment on that, sir?
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a question that we can and answer ourselves. You know, for the Igbo, they say, if you feel that we're disregarded or marginalized, we should help ourselves. And that's one of the reasons why we're thinking about Think Home. You know, if we can try and develop our area, we help ourselves. And if our governors can come together and then make sure that our area, whether the 5 states, can work together. Even if they don't work together, let every state try and see what it can do to improve the area. We cannot be waiting for the federal government. You know, I appreciate that some of the problems depends on the policies of the federal government. But if we can help ourselves, it will be better for us.
All right. Thank you, Igwe. Thank you, man of prestige. What we're going to do now, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we round up with Igbo Basics, Righteous Man, and if there's any other person who is back end. But we are going to take a quick break. We will be right back with Igwe.
Is it 5 minutes again?
5 minutes, please.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Onye ọma zoro obi o, akwa nwa zoro obi o, Max ịbịa bunyegokwanụ m n'ofu ube n'azụ ụlaga n'ịbịazigo, mmanwụ ụlaga do n'ịbịazigo, akwa nwa nwe ilochi o, biko rapụ zoro ka ọ nabazi ya. Onye mazuru biko abama wazara ndasari ibya unyane gana mo ulaga dori byazigo mo ulaga dori byazigo abama wilo chila bigora buzoro ona wazi Mazi weko mamwe Odogu no kwerezi nenka Onyomo niga dele mo Mazi ni bazi gama Ibu go wuti baladi Odogu na chala noka Ezi wane mliga dele mo Olaga doni bezigo noe Mo olaga doni bezigo Amama mwilo chilo Bigora muzoro Anabazi Te Onyama zoro de Mama wazara nesari Ibya muyanu kwana mo ofube naru Hulaga doni biazugo Nazaboy Hulaga doni biazugo Amama wilo chilo Biko rapu zoro Anabazi Aiz Odogu kenenu bikechofo Ama kwa mnika kugogia Waligwe kwelo Ikeja mabele bege Hey, you won!
kampune kene Omogo ndị nsọ Chukwu emekalumo ike Chukwu negaji Esi nwanne m ekene ịlapụlụ ife niile na-eme wee bịa nke gosili na anyị na gị bụ nwanne wisdom ga-adị ka nye gị maịkị ka ogobanya bụ egwu isili maxi ọ bụ na-etiri egwu a malụkwa malụ n'imego m ife ọjọọ wee sị gị nwanne m ife ọbụ na ịchọlụ na ngeme wisdom onume ekene gị gbamanwe iyo iyo biko lapụ nabasị ya zoro 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 Joy na bugwa Hausa Sokoto Ujembe mwilo Anu solo nwe ma n'ọfịa n'ara Onye nwụrụ zuru ike
Ballad of the ice cream that they put at the back.
Welcome back to our show. We appreciate all of you. We're having a wonderful conversation with Igwe Nnobi, Igwe Omenyele Nnobi. Igwe, thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. Let me go to, I think the next person is Igbo Basics. Igbo Basics, you're on. We can hear you. Unmute yourself, please.
Igwe mọdụ ndewo.
Aha, ndewo kwa o.
Eze bikwa.
Na, ya dịkwa o.
Igwe ekelekwa m.
Okay.
Igwe nnọọ. Ọjị ka m wetara gị. Ọjị
a. Daalụ ọjị o. Ọ dị mkpụrụ ọjị one?
Ọ dị nnọọ.
Ọ dị, okay, o zuru ezu.
Ya dịrị gị mma.
Ọ ga-adịkwa
ọjị ruo ụlọ ekwuobi ose.
Ọkụ ya?
Enyego m ya.
Inyezie ya Rudolf, ọ ga-eru m aka.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
Rudolf ọjị ahụ ga-erute gị aka.
Okay.
Ya abịa n'ụzọ dị iche. Igwe abụ m onye Ibere.
Onye?
Ibere. Bemaazị Ụkọnụ.
Ụkọnụ, yes.
Yes, Bamadi Ikweche, Be Justice Ikweche.
Ikweche.
Yes.
Ikweche, Nakweche.
Nakweche. Oh, nwanne m nwoke. Ikweche nwanne m nwoke. Yes.
Okay.
So, ndewo. N'egbughị oge, anụọla m ọtụtụ okwu, many things that you have talked about here. I'll just touch up on a few of it. Right off the court, I would say on the issue of wasted generation, I beg to disagree. And the reason why I beg to disagree that you are not wasted generation is because it's on your shoulders. There are some of us who came like 16 years after your sojourn to the UK, some of us who came. It's on your shoulders that we stood. And it's also on your shoulders that both the independence we are enjoying today and everything else that we are carrying on with. It's on the shoulders of people like you that we stand and move forward. So I beg to disagree that you're a wasted generation, you're not. And whoever calls that, the lizard fell down from an iroko tree and he nodded his head. in the sense that if nobody is praising me, I'll praise myself. So for me, I am praising that generation of yours. And we'll put that aside. On some of the things you talked about, specifically about I'll call it bastardizing of chieftaincy titles. You came at this process from the angle of how you dress, how you present yourself goes a long way. And that's why, much as I'm a titled man in Anambra State, Echiri m echichi Igwe Abalanze, Osineze Nwa, Abagana, Echiri m Akpara Adịghị Achị, but I'm more Pia Benibere. Much as all that is concerned, I came wearing this cap because I know the difference between Buahi Bunisi and Buam Bunisi. So for those who don't understand, it becomes a lesson today for us to understand. It's not these days that any young man just go to the market, buys a cap and puts on his head, and then becomes Igwe or becomes Eze, SND, or whatever they call themselves. So I feel that that institution is being bastardized in the sense that my question, you as a practicing Catholic, bishops, when somebody is conferred a bishop, I believe that the person goes to Rome to be made a bishop, isn't that right? And if it is so, why is it that some traditional rulers will leave their kingdom, though you touched upon it, and go abroad to some of their sons or daughters or whoever they are, and then go there to confer a chieftaincy title on such individuals, no matter how much you have accomplished? I believe it should be the other way around, where the bishop is crowned in Rome. If you deservingly be a title holder, you should go to Igbo land. And Dr. Rudolph, when your day comes to be a chief, I do believe that you will go to Nnobi, to the ruler Ogbu at Nnobi. If you do it otherwise, I am very grateful to have visited Nnobi one time in my life. And my visit to Nnobi was in honor of my good friend, who is also a son of Nnobi, Chief Zebrodaya Okorigwe Nwobe, alias 430, who I believe is a member of the Igwe's cabinet, the Traditional Rulers Council in Nnobi. That gave me the opportunity to have come to Nnobi to visit. And it was a very glorious visit. And I'm looking forward to when I do come back again to Nnobi, that I will be able to pay a courtesy visit to the Igwe of Nnobi. For me, being from Ibere, my elder brother, Eze Charles Onkwe Iheke, Kaluku 1 of Amankalo Ibere, the late Eze of Amankalo, was my elder brothers. I'm their last born. Though we have not replaced the Eze in Amankalo yet. And one of our Ezes in Ibere, Engineer John Oko, just passed on. So I'm taking that opportunity to make that announcement and wish a condolence to the traditional rulers in Igbo land. And me being a practicing bushcraft practitioner, I'm a member of the Abia State Hunters Association, where we believe in no hunters, no food, no farmers, no hunters, no meat, no farmers, no food. That's what we believe in. Having said all that, security comes from within, because I listened to your presentations as far as security is concerned. You are the chief custodian of the security. Everybody knows everybody. Before Mbadariwelu, we knew everybody. You know those who are thieves. You know those who are orators. You know, every community has a mixture of all kinds of people. We're saying all that, and then you also touched upon Abga, which is Chukwaso Korea. I happen to have been privileged to be at the local government headquarters with Chukwaso Korea. He was heading out to go and have Abga on. So I come from that same lineage. And then on Soludo, as you mentioned, that his marketing is politics. I personally believe that in other words, respect is reciprocal. If you want to learn how to Malan Jakri, you can go to Abamoto Park and we can tell you how to Malan Jakri. You can, of course. I saw that as in Jakri, go back. This presentation. I don't know who the other gentleman is, but they are all from Anambra. I'm prepared to round up my presentation here. And all my questions, which of course I've put on one, in Igbo Gadi, which is a group I belong to here, some elders. They just made a presentation of who they call that Igbos have lost. It's a video that's going around. Igbos have lost their elders to the United States. And it's very painful to see them all lined up. Yes, annual events are okay for us to do. They're all lined up, and you can see the men of timbers and caliber and everything else had all kinds, all of them wearing red caps, except one of them wearing Isiago. That video is out there. So my question there is, with the traditional rulers, and notice that I have not talked about the West, the North, or all the other sides of Nigeria. I do believe that you all do have a traditional rulers council where you all have some kind of meeting or so. What is it that can be done to tap into those people? I call them a powerhouse. This is a very strong force that they all have. What is it that you all, as Ndeze, are doing to appeal to them? I'm not saying to force. I'm not saying to chastise. I'm saying to appeal to them to bring that force, because we don't want any more of Professor Corlinia or Collins, who said they say from Okatatai, very close to Newai, Obosa. But that's what we are seeing with this generation. Security is not an excuse. What can we do to harness the force of what we all have from abroad here?
All right, thank you, Igbo Basics. We have to go.
As I close, Nnobi has given us quite a few great sons and daughters. Two of the eminent ones I've had the privilege of meeting. Rudolph Okonkwo, who is here with us, and also Chika Opala, aka Zabudat, of which we are preparing to present a book on him, which that book is on the reading stage now.
That's good.
That book is on the reading stage. I'm from Ibere, but I felt it was something that is worth doing. Along with Bishop Uzuku of the Catholic Bishop of Milan, we are working on this angle. Hopefully, we will communicate with you after this, because the traditional ruler of that great town should be there by all the time everything is done about this book.
Thank you.
It's on the reading stage now.
Thank you, Igbo Basics. Thank you so much.
That's my question. Okay. That's my commentary. That's my welcome.
Thank you.
I don't know. It's more than a question.
Yeah.
Right. Let me, the one that I remember, the wasted generation. If we say we're a wasted generation, we are talking about where was Nigeria in 1960? Where is Nigeria in 2025? We've talked about Malaysia, that Malaysia came to Nigeria to borrow or to take the palm seedling and see what they've done with it. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Technology.
Yeah, it's internet. Igwe, we can hear you if you can hear us. All right, while we wait for Igwe to reconnect, let me just remind everyone here that we have another show coming up with Dr. Franklin Obunweze, who will join us in about less than about 15 minutes. So for those who are left here who are going to ask questions, just make it one question and make it quickly so that we can round up this conversation and go to Dr. Franklin Obunweze, who is ready and to join us at 1:30 New York, 6:30 p.m. Nigeria. Let's see if Igwe's connection is back. Igwe, can you hear me? All right, so the connection is still not back, but we've been. Igwe, can you hear me?
Igwe is for Catholic, not for bushcraft. Bushcraft
there you fail it. Bush, go and find out Igwe believes in bushcraft.
So
you mistake bushcraft for witchcraft. correct yourselves. Bushcraft is the art of survival in the bush,
all right,
in the villages.
All right, so we have to round up quickly. Igwe, finish your thoughts, and then we get
Yes, I was commenting on the wasted generation.
Yeah,
we're talking about comparatively. I told you I was one of the people who protested against Balewa in 1960s. We still maintain the same foreign policy. You know, I knew the Prime Minister of Singapore as a student in England here. So what we're talking about is about wasted generation, not about our personal achievements as persons. You know, we're talking about where is our country today compared to 50, 60 years ago. That is the point, really. I appreciate the point you made that you are friendly with Nnobi people, starting with our revered the Budaya Okorigwe, alas 430. You know, you talked for a long time. I don't know if I answered some of your questions. So about the cap. Yes. You know, when you listen, when you look at some programs that tell you about the cap, who uses that cap and who uses the red cap we put on. So it's a matter of discretion. Maybe we call a meeting of culture in Igbo land in the southeast and say, what do we do about the cap? Then if an Igbo goes to London and makes somebody a chief, that's ultra vires. That is terrible. It's not allowed. I can't even road up with all the praise I give to him. I cannot make him a chief in New York. He has to come back. Chiozo. Oh no, Chigozo, I can't make him chief. That is basic. Yeah, Igbo basic. And that is basic.
That's good to know.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Igbo Basics. So we have 4 people, and we have less than 10 minutes because we have to get Ubunweze is already waiting for us. So I'll give you just 2 minutes max, please. Go straight to your question or comment, and then we go to other people.
Dr. Rudolph, is it me or
you, Ike? Yeah, I brought you up.
Okay. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. My name is Ike Alamefle from Imo State, but I live in the beautiful island of Bonaire in the Caribbean. Igwe Igadio.
Thank you.
It's not a question, but a kind of a commentary. As an Igbo man, and my frustration is all about the bastardization of the traditional institutions by the political elite in Nigeria, more especially in the Southeast. Some of our traditional rulers has become a pawn in the hands of the governors of the states. And I am wondering what is people like you that are so eminently respected from your speech. I've been listening. I'm working, but I've been listening. What are we doing to restore back the glory of the traditional institution, where traditional rulers should have respect?
because they have lost it, whether we want to accept that or not. Traditional rulers in the Southeast has lost respect because they have decided to abandon their traditional and cultural institutions by playing politics. And I think it has not augured well for anybody. Because when we talk about the security in our communities and our villages and towns, it is because that the traditional rulers have decided to become political party members that they have abandoned the normal responsibility, which they supposed to be the head of every community, that when they speak, the people will listen. So my question is, Dr. Rudolph, don't cut me off. My question
I have to. I'm sorry, because we are really short of time.
His Royal Highness, my question is, what are you eminently qualified people like you with honor are doing to restore that image and that credibility and respect back to our traditional rulers? Thank you and God bless you. May you live long. Igwe.
Thank you. Thank you. What we're doing, I think I've covered this earlier on, because we have different, I don't know, you're Alamefule, you know, I don't know, but you see in Anambra State, we have eminent traditional rulers. We have a code of conduct. I just given an example that you cannot make somebody a chief from another community without informing the chief or the Igwe of the other community. And we don't sell our titles, and you know, I wouldn't do that. Thank you.
All right, Ike, thank you. I'm sorry, because it's not. I want to make sure I give other people a chance to say something at least, because they've been waiting to. Let's go to Oti. Oti, quickly, 1 minute, please.
Igwe, okay, then. It's just because of lack of time, and I think my questions would have been a bit more elaborate. About I try, and actually it goes to the point that Rudolph has already raised with you, and that is really the role of traditional rulers in relation to, if like the character and disposition of an Igbo man and the Igbo social political setting. Now, this is a kind of really asking the question: the traditional ruler, that role, your role and your positions, has to be justified. Now, you did mention here that you know, by way of justifying the position of traditional rulers in a country, in a political system that is democratic, you are close to the people. Okay, that is correct. But then the question, why do we have so much insecurity in Igbo land? If, I mean, every community has traditional rulers and they are close to the people, they are supposed to know their people. So what is going on? Why can't we maintain peace and order in Anambra State, in our communities, you know, with traditional rulers being there and being very close to the people?
All right.
So
okay, thank you. Sorry.
That's my question. And okay, sorry.
Right.
I know
this question in a different way, you know.
Thank you. He covered it. We can say one. No.
Thank you, Mr. Oti. I think you're from here, probably. You know.
No, Orumba South local government. And I happen to be a member of a new member of the cabinet. No more.
Yeah. Yes, he has the same problem all over. We're not the chief security officers. I've given an example where the governors are the chief security officers of the state, but the commissioners of police will not take orders from them. They have to take orders from Abuja. You know, the problem is very basic in Nigeria. It's not the traditional rulers' fault. You know. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Oti. We just have to quickly rush so that I'll give everyone a chance. Maziapara, you are next. Just 1 minute, your question.
Igwe,
Okay.
long life, Igwe.
Thank you. Thank you.
Marty is from Germany. I'm from Olo, Imo State.
Okay.
Because Igwe, and we want to enjoy Biko because then we want last week or last 2 weeks, government of Nigeria wanted to impose only of Ife and Sultan of Sokoto on traditional rulers all over Nigeria? Is it acceptable to Igbo traditional rulers? Lastly, because your generation did not disappoint us, because your generation saved us from an annihilation of Nigerian people wanted to kill us, but your generation saved us from being, massacred. So anybody who is telling you that your generation disappointed, that maybe their own generation, but your generation in Igbo land saved us, we that are 50s and 40s, your generation saved us from being annihilated from Nigerian state. Finally, please do anything you can do to see that Mazin Nandekan is free. Thank you, sir. God bless you, sir.
Okay,
Thank you. The issue of Oni of Ife and the Sultan of Sokoto, the traditional rulers in the Southeast have made their position on that. Nigeria is a tripod, and if you remove one leg, it will not be stable. Let me stop at that.
Okay, thank you so much. Righteous man, quickly, 1 minute.
Yeah. May the Igbo live forever, as the saying goes.
And you
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Igwe, I have just one simple question. My father was a title holder, an Ozo, and he had Ofo in his hand. Why is it that the title holders of these days from our traditional institutions anaghị busy Ofo ma ihe eme? For example, if there are terrible things that happens, I know those days, my father and the other Ozo and the other Nze and Dieze, Yapota, Hekuchoku, Hebiofo. Within period of time, you see result happening. Why is it not functioning today? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Righteous.
Well, thank you very much for that question. During your father's time or your grandfather's time, I don't know how many Ozos there are. Today, it's been multiplied and multiplied and multiplied. I don't know even if the Ozo will go around if everybody takes it. But seriously, when there are serious issues, the Ozo or the Ofo, not the Ozo, the Ofo will still come out and people will listen. And in some communities where there are kidnappings and things like that, they have come out as a people and say, look, this thing must stop. And they put the Ofo down. So it still happens. But don't compare when you had 10 other title people in your community to today. Maybe there are 100 or 200 of them.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Righteous man. Forefathers, you're next.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Dr. Damages. Greetings to all the panelists, the chat, and the viewers. I have to give special greetings to the guests. Muhammadum Obi, they say long live, long life. I don't know about these traditions very well, but I second everything they've said in terms of greeting. Yeah. In terms of, you made a comment just now that I find a bit unsettling about Nigeria being a tripod. That kind of mentality leads to the kind of instability we have in this country, where this tripod, they want to be competing amongst themselves. Even if minorities have run the country for longer and more often than this tripod. At the same time, this tripod, was it not Fulani that were trouble all over the place in Nigeria, destabilizing Nigeria? It's an illusion to think Nigeria is a tribal. It's just that there are larger groups and other smaller groups. That's all there is. That's what I see. Now, the question I wanted to ask is, because of the instability I see in that south and southeastern region compared to the other parts of the south, is there any kind of advice that you can give in current generation and the advice they should be advising their children so that in the next generation, that region will be peaceful and they will be at peace in the country that they currently live? Is there any particular advice that you can give them so that you can be confident that your children and your children's children are going to live in peace in their own land.
All right, thank you, forefathers.
Forefathers, thank you very much. You objected to tripod. The tripod is better than two-legged. It's more stable. As an engineer, I will tell you that. I don't mean that the others don't matter. You know, it would even be better if it's quadruple, if it's four-legged. You know, but what we are objecting to is that in a situation where you used to have somebody has to represent the people of the southeast, of the south-south, there are objections. Even the houses and the not the dormers, the people from just say their own chiefdom is much older than the sultan. Therefore, they will not take it. So it's an ongoing issue that has to be settled. Thank you.
All right, thank you, forefathers. And finally, before we run,
sorry, in terms of the advice to the coming in terms of the future peace.
Oh, future peace. You know, the problem we have at the moment is the instability, the poverty. If there's less poverty in Nigeria, things will be better. I mean, most of the people, if we take Onyeko Onwenu, her father was the mayor in Port Harcourt, River State. A Fulani man was the mayor in Enugu, Umaru Altine, in the 50s. We can still pray and hope that such situation will come back to Nigeria. There will be peace. It does. Thank you.
All right, thank you, forefathers. Let's go to CM. You're the last person before we round up. CM, we can't hear you. If you're speaking, we can't hear you. All right, CM is from the UK, and traditionally the connection from UK is never good. We thought it had something to do with Queen Elizabeth. She left us. It continued to be a problem. CM, can you hear me? No, he cannot. All right, so let's round up.
He's laughing, he's smiling.
I know he could hear me, but we can't hear him. It's a normal thing. Igwe is not it's every,
all right.
Every
Thank
week.
you.
Igwe, so I want us to give us your final thoughts. I want to and frame it in terms of the legacy you want to leave for people at Nnobi and beyond. I know your book. Let me show it. Some people are asking me on the comment section, how can they get the book? It's not yet online. It's going to be online soon. So
please do.
So that Igwe said,
I said, please do. I want it online so that
yes. So that people can be able to get a copy and read it. It's quite big and went into details of what he went through and the process and how he's been governing the people of Nnobi. So Igwe, your final thoughts.
Well, my final thought is for the youths. You know, when I answered Mr. James, I said that we should not be like a Desica. We should not say, oh, it doesn't concern us. We should get involved. Those of us who got involved in politics, probably we didn't benefit much, but at least we made some mark. And then the youths, very, very important, is you have to work, you have to persevere, you have to work hard. You know, I'm afraid where our youths are going now, thinking that the manna will still fall from heaven, will not. It's not only hard work that will save us, and that's what we did maybe 60, 70, 80, 100 years ago. We have to come back to that. I think that's what I think should be the legacy.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today, Igwe Engineer Nick Obi, Igwe Nnobi. I really appreciate it that you are here. This is, I can retire now, that Igbo of Nnobi appeared on my show. I can retire now. So thank you so much. Let me just mention that in the next 5 minutes and 4 minutes now, we are going to go over to the next channel, which is where we are going to have Dr. Franklin Obumweze join us. He's a human rights consultant. He's going to join us from Germany. He's going to talk about what's the right path to self-determination, ramifications of Simon Ekpa's conviction in Finland for terrorism. So if you want to be part of that conversation, join us in the next stream, which I'm sharing the link now for those who want to join. And that's where we're going to have Dr. Obumweze. Thank you, everybody who joined us on this. Igwe, thank you so much. And we will be right back on the other end to talk about geopolitical issues beyond just Nigeria. We're going to talk about America and Israel and Gaza and everything. And Obumweze is really excited and willing and ready to join us. Thank you, everybody. I will see you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Tell guys the request.
Yeah.
Maryland. Okay, I cannot understand one name.
Oh, okay.
Touch him.
Tyra.
Okay.